I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Carl here for guest. We have Joey. You have nothing, right? Just
I have the ambulance stuff, just a report for the year. Yep.
Do you have anything?
I have two quick things. Notice on, this is for buildings, that on the library, as you come out, on the right-hand side, the small little piece of railing that's straight is just sitting on the spindles.
Oh, great, so we tap on it again. Like the third time it's been fixed in 2 years.
Yeah, so there's that. And then I was just wondering about with Davis Park, was there who was supposed to be emptying the trash there? Was that something that the town crew was doing, or was that something that
John was doing it.
Yeah, I was under.
Because it's full, and Friday I was down there taking the stuff down from the gazebo, and they stopped and picked up stuff from across the street and never picked up. So that,
And maybe they have new people, so we should probably just talk to John real quick.
especially since you're using it, you've got a lot of people down there for the skating rink, they'd like to have a empty trash to do that.
I seem to remember Tim Green saying John had offered to pick up the trashes in the parks.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
do remember that too, yes.
Okay.
So just have to mention, he might have new people working for him or something, and they just miss it.
No, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Joey's it gonna be quick or?
Yeah, it's very quick. So just take one, pass it around the group. So the first page, yeah, you have the exact same one already in your office. I only made 5 for the group, because
Oh,
I gave yours
thanks.
early. Sorry. So the first page is the year-end report, the top numbers. We did 104-ish more calls than last year. About 56 transports more than last year. December was a very busy year. We did 18 more transports than we did the year before. Last year was a very busy year. This year, numbers are about on par already so far this year for last year's numbers so far this month, off by a couple calls at the most. Second page is mutual aid numbers into other towns. Total for the year, done by month. The percentage at the bottom is comparable to our call volume for the months and the year as to what percentage of our calls we did into mutual aid towns.
Excellent, good information.
Third page is stuff that we track. We track Unit 2 calls. We track calls to UVM. We track our returns back to town. We track any time that an A intercepts in our service, so we know how many times our A's are intercepted. Anytime we have another agency's ace intercept us, and that's usually when I'm on another truck most of the time.
Can you back up a second?
Sure.
You're speaking in acronyms.
Advanced EMT, my level, ALS level.
You mean so your level of certification as an
Right.
ambulance? Okay.
So it starts out EMR, VEFR, Vermont First Responder is just basically a certified driver. And then you have the EMT level, like Andy, Shelby, Timmy's level. I hit everybody right, yeah. They can only do so much, and then there becomes my level, which is the AEMT level, and then there's the next level above me, which are paramedics, which we mutual aid in from other agencies. And I break the medics down amongst the other agencies, meaning Enosburg, Amcare, and MVR. Total last year, we only took 10 medic intercepts out of any mutual aid last year. 11 intercepts of any kind outside of our service. There was 27 in our service, and that was basically me jumping the trucks on my days off. We provided 3 intercepts to Enosburg last year at my level when they needed a higher level of care for their patients because they didn't have it available. So that's your year-end report. That's what I have. It was a very, very busy year, and this year is already starting out the same way.
And what of this do we put in our? Is this something that gets put in your
I think
town
it should.
report,
I
or at
think
least
it
a portion of it?
He's
You're crafting it?
He's already got all, he's got exact, I gave him that copy, what, 2 weeks ago, a week ago?
Yeah.
Exact same paper.
I think this is probably the most,
Yeah, that's. right there.
understandable, I wouldn't
Yeah.
probably use the other
Yeah.
stuff.
That's just so you guys can see. The other stuff is just so you guys can see what
They can
we've
see how
done.
we've grown.
And almost 14% of our call volume of that 686, almost 14% was mutual aid to other agencies, other towns. That's all I have.
Thank you, Joey.
Okay.
Carl.
I got a couple things. I'm staying for the whole meeting, by the way, so I was planning on it. Okay. Seems to be some confusion on, at least I am confused, on the parking and the towing. I'm told that there's a winter parking road maintenance policy. Okay, so I did get that. There's one that says it was adopted in 2019. Says it was adopted, but there's no signatures on it. So, is that really adopted?
That's before my time, I guess if there was a motion at that said meeting when it was adopted, does that make?
But there's no signatures on it. Does
There
that
should
make-
be a signed copy,
Okay.
it probably was in Linda's
This was in your
desk.
books.
Yeah, that should have been a signed copy, they probably just missed it and got the signed copies, probably was with Linda's stuff in her desk.
Okay,
Cause back then, I think Linda was on as chair, if I remember correctly, 2019.
but this is in your zoning,
Yeah, that shouldn't have been there, that should have been the signed copy.
so this shouldn't be there. Where's the sign?
Well, no, the signed copy for the last page should be in there too,
So this isn't signed.
right?
That's not a big deal, I just noticed that. So the difference between the signed copy that you guys signed in November 7th, you changed the time.
Shrunk it, yeah.
Shrunk it,
Yeah,
What's that?
we shrunk it.
Instead of 1 to 6, we shrunk it to 2 to 6.
Okay. So,
That was the only change.
okay, so then if you look at the signs posted around town, where you enter town, the signs say 2 to 6 a.m.
yeah.
Okay? So there's some confusion there. So the signs are referring to the ordinance? Because the signs say there's a fine and towing. Usually, the paper that I give you says usually a policy doesn't have a fine associated with it. So I couldn't find anything that said the Richford Town Parking Band, which states on your sign. I got a picture of the sign if I
Yeah, no, we
Okay, so you did that to match the winter road maintenance policy,
matches the,
match the winter parking ban
Yeah.
to match your signs. But there's no information on the parking ban. So am I right thinking the parking ban is the ordinance?
I would assume so.
You guys are enforcing it, you should know. I mean, my car wasn't towed, nobody that I know's car was towed. I just don't think it's right that the town of Richford's towing people's vehicles when they don't follow the rules themselves. So you guys all have a copy of the ordinance.
Right.
Because I did. Okay. So if you go to the ordinance, it says 55321, that's 5321. It's
Page 14.
so did you find it?
Yeah, yeah.
So in here, the parking ban is from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m., not 2 to 6. So your signs are wrong. And it's a good thing that you
No,
do
it's
that.
1 AM to 6 AM.
That was stricken. If you read your ordinance, the ones in parentheses are stricken, the one underlined are the ones added.
Okay.
So your actual winter parking ban is 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. I mean, it's good that you don't enforce it that early, but if you get a sheriff come into town, he can enforce it. Because you have conflict in, everything's conflicting, your signs, your policy, your ordinance. Then, the next thing I wanted to bring up is 5308.
Yes, can I have your copy of, well, Mike, what we have provided doesn't have 308.
Thank you.
Michael, you didn't give them the whole ordinance?
I
Does somebody else, everybody want a copy?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
There.
Everybody got one? I got extra if anybody wants one.
I'll take one.
So as my understanding, the select board hired a tow company to come to Richford. It's his discretion to tow whenever he felt like towing between 2 and 6 a.m. Am I right?
He was hired for that time frame. Yes.
To tow whatever car he
Isn't
see anywhere is at his discretion. Your ordinance explains it all right here. It says, if you read 5308, number A, towing. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it says hereby declared a public nuisance. So it's all the reasons you can tow, parking and handicap or whatever. And so parking in the winter is a nuisance. So it goes to public nuisance, and the police commissioner, street commissioner, highway foreman, fire chief, town constable, or any law enforcement officer so authorized may remove or so to park car or whatever. So the select board doesn't have authority to tell somebody to come and take whatever car you want. The ordinance lists the people here that has the authority to tow. It's right in your ordinance.
It doesn't say anything in that ordinance, that section of it about about the parking ban.
Yes, it
Or
does.
no.
It's a read that it says anywhere's.
Carl, this is calling out unlawful parking in public nuisance. It's not a
Yes.
local
Yes.
parking.
It's not
Anywhere's-
winter parking ban.
When parking is prohibited or restricted by this title. It's,
Unlawful parking or public
this article is all about the reasons you can be towed. And if you read down, it says, well, I'll read down, it says the parking of any vehicle within an intersection on a crosswalk within 50 feet of a fire hydrant, in front of a private driveway, a bridge, a viaduct, approach. whatever on the si-
The way I interpret the heading though is unlawful parking, so say if there's someone parked next to a fire hydrant, I could say.
Yes, but you gotta read the whole thing in. It lists is all right here. And it says, anywhere where parking is prohibited or restricted by this title. And if you look back on to
By this
5321, winter parking restrictions.
Yeah.
So that brings it underneath this title.
Restrictions by this title though is referring to this title.
It's got a separate
Parking.
title. It's a separate
No,
title.
it's
though,
unlawful
isn't it?
parking
How
or
is it a
public
separate title? It's
nuisance.
the whole thing is subchapter 5
Yeah, but you just read
parking.
it said by this title.
Right, this is the title,
Parking is the title, is what you're saying?
yes.
No, parking
Okay,
is
sure,
not
so,
unlawful parking and public nuisance is what the title is, right?
Right.
Got that wrong?
And parking where you're not supposed to be becomes a public nuisance. We can take that right out, Sherry. Wanna take that right out?
What
Then you
part?
have,
The public nuisance part?
yeah. So you're saying, let's say that, I'm wrong and that this doesn't pertain to winter restrictions. Then you have no authority to tow.
Right.
So it's up to you which way you wanna do it.
But there is a winter parking restriction.
But there's
Nothing
Which-
about towing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way, that gives you the right to tow
Right.
because it's a public nuisance.
So if we want to tow, we need to
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
have
see what you're saying.
towing restriction.
I got you.
So the select board doesn't have the authority to tow, and the ordinance it says, police commissioner, street commissioner, highway foreman, fire chief, town constable, or any law enforcement agency. So you need to update your ordinance to put select board if you want. But for right now, you guys overstep.
We'll have to look into it a little more. I'm wondering, were you present, Michael, when we signed the agreement with the towing company? And was Jason a party to that signing?
No, I don't think.
Oh.
I'm new to this, Carl, I'm learning.
Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, as road foreman, if he was part of the
Highway foreman?
highway foreman. if he-
Calls it out.
What I'm trying to say is, well, like, somebody's gotta give permission to each car being towed, it's described right here in section B of this.
Yeah,
It says, the police commissioner, whatever, public records gotta be kept. It's not a free-for-all for a record company to come here and charge whatever he wants and tow your vehicle wherever he wants. I mean, this is the ordinance, I mean, the people of Richford have to follow it, the select board has to follow it. And it's been enacted since, well, it's been revised 2002.
sounds like it's overdue for revision.
So does he have to handpick, okay, so you're saying that the road foreman would have to handpick that car, that car, that car? He can't say,
Yes.
this section of street between these hours, anybody parks here, take them.
No.
Cause that's what we said, that's what he said, that's what we said, we agreed with it.
Well, sure, it's conflicting because your ordinance says it's parking's between 11 PM and 8 AM, but your signs say
So
2
we got more
AM
lenient
to
with
6
them.
AM.
We
Well,
got
you can't be
more lenient
lenient
with
going with your ordinance because the sheriff can come and have everybody towed. And that, he has authority because that's what the ordinance says. Then, if you go to section 5324. And it says this has gotta be published 3 consecutive weeks after November 1st in a locally newspaper of Richford. This has never been put in the paper. People don't even know it's an effect. The board just set this
I don't
toga.
know how they wouldn't know it's affected, there's signs
Sure.
posted, they got paper, they got papers on their dashes, and then we have a sign out front that's posted on.
But that's not the
It's posted
rule.
on the doors. The only place it didn't get is on our website.
So you're saying you
It's
not
a-
following the rule of putting it in the paper is better than them guys parking on the road. It doesn't say in here anything about putting a flyer on somebody's car. It's right here, black and white, your rules.
Not my rule, but
Well, it's what we are as elected officials.
it's also to follow.
And this used to be published in the paper every single year.
Right, it didn't make it to the paper this year for some reason.
It hasn't for years and years, Sherry.
It was in there last year, wasn't it?
No. Sherry, you were on the
Linda
board last
Collins
year.
had put it in there,
And-
cause we had a meeting on it for her, it got posted. I'm almost positive it was 2 years ago with Linda Collins, when she was
No,
chair.
because you had another policy that somebody else in town could tow, you gotta go see them. It was never this ordinance.
You know, the parking ban was in the newspaper though.
Sherry, what is the parking ban?
Are you saying there was another individual identified in an ordinance or a
Yes.
policy?
Well, I don't know if it was an ordinance, I tried finding it and I couldn't find it. But it was listed in the paper in the past.
Of somebody, of a different company? So we would have to identify this person, you're saying we should have identified this person?
parking.
No, because it was another fly-by-night thing the boards did. They didn't follow the rules.
Okay.
My point I'm trying to make is you guys are taking advantage of low-income people by having their cars towed. They don't have the money to take you guys to court to fight a crappy ordinance that you're not following. So these people are getting their cars towed. Maybe some of these people knew because you put a flyer on their car, but that's not what the ordinance doesn't say, putting a flyer on somebody's car. It says 3 times, 3 consecutive weeks in a newspaper. So if the town can't follow the rules, but you can penalize somebody else $150 to get their car towed. So if you come in, anybody come in to look this stuff up, you're gonna look for this winter parking ban thing that means absolutely nothing. What class roads is that for? First, fourth, third? I mean, is it for every town in Richford Road or is it just in a village?
I think it called out the village.
Yeah,
It calls out, it's just.
No, it says
Richford Public Works.
Doesn't say between Main
Yes, it
Street,
does.
between River Street and School Street, Providence Street and River Street.
Yeah, it does specify those.
Yeah.
For what?
For the parking ban,
Yeah, because those are the streets where the bar rooms and the churches are.
after 2:00.
Right. But for the rest of the town, it is 11 o'clock to 8 a.m. in the morning. So you guys enforce some, but you don't enforce others. So how can your citizens of your town follow the rules when you are putting it out there different ways?
Well, we have done some legwork, Carl, since you came in before, around Christmas time.
Yep.
We're continuing to do research. I believe it was our council said that we are within our rights to tow vehicles. I'm just telling you what our local and I'm not saying we're not gonna continue to do this. She's still following up on some stuff. You make valid points, and it's all things we will consider going forward, and possibly we will write this.
Well, it's, your council always gives you information, but I don't trust the information you guys have been given. You guys have been trying to,
Well,
do a charter change twice and you didn't even get to a meeting. Your council give you bad information both times.
well,
And you know, Wally, the paper I give you, an ordinance is law because it's represented by the states of charters
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
everything.
Yep.
So you guys can fine people and tow their car, but you ain't gotta follow the rules you're telling me.
we're all learning here. Yes, we're trying to.
So you think that that's,
I am not saying we're in violation or not. I'm saying we're gonna research it.
how can you guys just enact something that affects people's lives? You take their last dollar for getting their car towed, but it doesn't even bother you guys. You didn't even do the research in the beginning. And it says the procedures to get the car back, who gets the money, collects the money, where the money's paid. You guys did none of that, absolutely nothing.
We hear you. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna continue to look into it.
I see where that's gonna go, Wally.
Well, you have to have some good faith. We're working on it.
Good faith, when you guys see nothing wrong with what you did. I hope somebody takes you guys to court, I really do, but you guys ain't gonna have nobody take you to court because, you guys picked on the low-income people of Richford. They can't afford to take you to court.
I will say I disagree with that because there was notices put on those cars well in advance.
But you didn't,
I understand this, Carl, but you're making it like we're crooks, and I don't feel.
you are crooks.
I don't feel that that's that way because of what we did for legwork prior to this. We might not have posted in the paper, yes, that was wrong of us. However, we did put flyers out.
It's more than just the flyers, more than the newspaper thing. You didn't do anything the town ordinance says.
Yeah, and we're learning from that is what I'm getting at. But for you to call us crooks, I don't feel that is proper. It was
Can you give me a definition, Andy, of somebody that doesn't follow the rules, but you penalize somebody else that doesn't follow the rules, but you set up here on a pedestal and they set down here?
I'm not saying if I park
We're
my
not sitting
car
on
on
a
the street,
pedestal.
it shouldn't be, this is something that we were unaware of and we're learning.
So
But
why would the
at the
board-
same time, these people were given proper notice through flyers, through the
But if you
sign.
would have done like the ordinance
Through-
says and put it in the paper, it probably wouldn't have been a problem.
Okay, I'm not gonna debate it anymore, I just feel that you calling us crooks was improper.
All right, I didn't mean to be a crook, but how do you justify you not following the policies, the laws, and charge people money when they don't follow it? And
Our council, as of right now, believes that we're within the right, we are researching it, okay?
That's the best answer we can give you at this point.
Yes.
And we will
And
revisit.
they might need to be rewritten. I mean, that's the bottom line.
yeah, rewritten, but it's obviously, it needs to be written because nobody on the table right there knows what it is. But you already took money from these people.
And think what Amy was saying was that they were properly warned.
No, you weren't, the ordinance.
Okay, understanding an ordinance, but the people's cars that were towed, they all knew, and they've all stated they did
No, they
know.
didn't.
They did.
Honestly,
stated.
honestly, and I'll speak for myself, if my car was parked on the sidewalk, that flyer would have done more for me than reading the paper, because I do not read that. And I'm just gonna put that out there.
I see what you're saying, Andy,
Yep.
but you can bend the rules to fit your needs, but they can't,
First of all,
because
it's not
you
his
sick the
needs.
guy on,
I don't believe I'm bending any rules, it's just something that.
and if you read the ordinance, it says no parking between 2 and 6. I'm not saying there should, there is a need for it, but you guys need to do it equally right as the people that got their car towed.
Your point is.
And you did it.
Your point is taken, and we're gonna pursue this with council, and if need be, we'll, rectify the ordinance.
So you're gonna pay everybody back if you're wrong.
No, because
See, you won't, because you guys got their money, you could care less what's right or wrong.
I don't,
Next subject,
okay,
I still have another thing too.
what is it?
Okay. Came to the town hall in December about 20th, 21st.
Yep.
Talked with Sherry, discussed about the meeting that was warned wrong for the town charter change. Talked about some other things. Michael come out and joined us in the conversation. Next day, Michael sent me an email. A couple days later, I sent Michael an email asking for a list of people that's told, because the ordinance says it's public information. And I didn't hear nothing from him a couple days, so I called to see when my petition had to be in. And Michael was in his office, so I asked Mike, I say, Mike, did you have any luck with that? He goes, no, the select board says I'm not to work with you, give you any information or load any research for you. Michael's never did any research for me. He never give me any information. He never did anything for me. So why would the select board say that to a taxpayer?
The select board feels that Michael's time was to be put in for what the select board is asking him to do. To sit there for 3 hours and have conversation is not, it's something that is
There was
taken away
no
from
3-hour
him.
conversation with me.
I don't know if it's.
Michael?
I don't know, it was 3 hours, but we were an hour and a half.
For 3 times, equaling an hour.
Yeah, I'd say we weren't
So,
3 hours.
if I come to this town hall and I sit right out there, nobody's gonna go in there and talk to Michael about anything, because the select board only gives him the authority to talk with the board.
I think the information was if there's need to be a meeting, appointment needs to be made. I think that's what we
That's what he
discussed.
said, yep. To set an appointment, so that way if he's in the middle of a project or in the middle of doing a grant or something like that, that his time's been spent on, that he can answer, say, can we set a time, I'll have you come in at this time, are you available? That's what we had just said. To set a time and an appointment, that way he can schedule his
So-
day too.
So he
because
can
he's
structure his days,
Yes.
basically what we're looking at.
Yes,
So, somebody that pays taxes in this town, pays your salary, cannot come up and ask him a question. I'm interfering.
anybody can ask him a question, but set an
Well, he's
appointment,
told me
come
he
back and have a
can't give me any
discussion with him.
information, talk with me, or do any research for me. Did you do any of those things for me, Mike?
No.
So why would the board tell you you can't do that for me?
Well, I think it was based on when we discussed the parking ordinance and like you said, you wanted a list. And I brought that to the board and that's when,
Your ordinance says it's public information. So how can I get that public information if you guys aren't keeping that list and your tow guy doesn't have that list? How do I get it?
I don't know, I don't. I
And
don't
if
see
you go
the
back to the
I don't see the
ordinance-
registrations, and I don't see,
I don't either.
yeah, so.
Your ordinance says that a list will be provided to the public.
We'll take note of that and ask our council about that. Okay.
That's gotta be something we can get.
Yeah,
I think that's a
I
cop
would think,
for the
but
board and
we gotta ask.
The guy who told him.
Yeah.
He's gonna write down all the VIN numbers and stuff. License plate numbers or whatever.
because every one of those people needs a copy of this ordinance to know that they were wrong.
And I don't know, and I'm speaking strictly from like personal identifiable information. I think we can give you numbers. I will have to ask legal counsel if we can, if we
It's
can.
public information, right in your.
Yeah, but I don't know, I'm not.
So can you guys explain?
I need to understand, like, what type of personal information we can give to, like, not everything is shareable.
Yeah.
And,
Yes,
like,
it
we might
is.
well give you
Well,
Maybe
those say
not-
it's shareable, but is it shareable,
You're told them because of this.
but
yes.
your personal information, is that shareable on the other?
I wanna know the people, as names, that's all I wanna know, so I can call them up and say, here's the ordinance, you were wrong.
And we'll ask that question. I'm just not sure, like, I don't know if it's, we can give you like numbers, or if we can actually give you names. That would be an answer we'll follow up with you on. I am.
So can the board explain one thing to me? I've been on a board before in the past. So if you have an ordinance, the ordinance, everything's explained out, how everything's gotta work.
Mhm.
Everything. So now you guys are telling me that it's wrong, that you don't have to go by that.
That's not what we're saying.
Okay. But you gotta wait for your lawyer to,
Well, that would be the prudent choice. We're trying to understand this as well as you, Carl.
so if you don't understand it, why are you having people's cars towed?
Because they're in the way of the plow trucks when it does snow and when
On
there is
days
a
when it's
storm.
40 degrees in January and no snow and forecast for a week?
Okay. We beat this around for now, Carl. We're gonna go back and do our research.
I'm not letting it go, Andy. I'm
We're
not
gonna
letting
go
it go.
back and do our research, okay?
Okay.
Alright. Tim, you have something?
I do, and I apologize for my lateness.
Well, that's right.
I thought the meeting started at 6:30.
You know, you're at the very end of the visitor, so.
Okay, I don't know if you've reappointed the Northwest Solid Waste District appointee to that board as of yet, because I've had discussions with them, and they do not have a residency requirement to stay on that board. I would be happy to continue to serve on there. I'm still kind of in town and halfway in Swanton, but if the board would so see fit, I mean, it's just to have a place card at the meetings. Not that much trickles back to the community through that board. But I think it's important that the town's still represented, and I'd be happy to do it. And there is some precedence for this, I guess, back in the day, when Jim Tomlinson was on that board. He was living in Richford, but he left town, and he remained on that board representing Richford. So just, I'm asking if you would like my help to continue on that board.
I'd like to see how this plays out. We're having elections here within a couple months. How often are the meetings, Tim?
Well, it varies year to year. It's normally first part of the year, it's every other month.
Okay.
Like it's February, April, June, August, and then I think the October meeting is when we start working on the budgets and stuff for the district. And we tend to meet monthly then.
Okay.
So it's like 9 meetings a year,
Okay.
8 meetings a year, but I'd be glad to do it.
Okay.
And they wanted to know if there was anything that they could send you guys to indicate their support for me staying on there, so I'd be happy to get that too, if that's something that the board would want.
Okay. How about sending information as such to Michael,
I can do that.
and then we can have discussion?
Well, I can show you the charter for the organization, because it's just like a municipality, and the board does not require a residency requirement,
Okay.
so.
That's probably something the charter should, the select board should review, just so we're up to date on that.
Works for me, I'd be happy to send it to you.
Okay. All right, yeah, if you could send it to Michael.
Yep.
Michael can get copies out to us
No problem at all.
and see what we're up against.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you for the time.
Okay. Approval of 12/19/22 select board meeting minutes and the 12/21/22 budget meeting minutes and the 1/4/23 budget meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes to any of those?
I do not. Make a motion to approve them.
There's a motion to approve on the table. Here, second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Update from the town administrator.
So it was pretty short last week. It was just writing reports. Worked a little bit on the rail trail extension. I talked to someone from the state about that and kind of how we can talk with landowners and kind of meet their needs. I still haven't set up another appointment with one of them yet, so trying to work on that. And waiting on for the parking lot grant, waiting on the grant agreement to come, so we can get that. What we did was we had I can't remember what the form was called, but it was like it wasn't the grant agreement. It was like the
Pre-grant.
yeah, it was a very simple form. And then so she told me the grant administrator said she would come back with the whole grant agreement and then
Cool.
we can get that. Yeah. So that's all I have.
Highway report, Molly.
Not much to report. A little storm cleanup, on the back roads, they hauled some stuff to the wood chip plant there. I guess the Hollister Road and a couple other roads up that way, had a ton of damage, and just to move it quickly, they transported it there. The other, road plowing, street maintenance, just pretty, they took a tree down here by the post office that was dead.
Have they gone back to clean it up soon?
Yes.
Alright.
The only other thing that they threw out, they now, in the fall, they do a lot of cutting along the roads of dead trees and, or things that are, have been marked that are, looking unhealthy. They have about 2.5 years worth of firewood for the town garage, ahead. So they didn't know if maybe as they cut, if we wanted to do a raffle, have them cut it for firewood to sell, to do a raffle. I don't know, it's just something that Jason threw out there because they still need to take those dead trees when they're slow, and it's something they do on slow days.
Yeah.
Where would the money go? Back in the general fund or?
I think that's up to us, we could, I think that's why I'm bringing it up, I don't know. Do we do as a fundraiser, do we, identify low income folks in the community that could benefit from it, I don't know. Do we,
Well, I tell you, the rec department.
or the
needs
rec,
some money
or the rec
right now.
department, I don't know
Fireworks,
how.
I mean, the fireworks doubled this year, so.
So, I mean, I think that's just for us to decide, I don't think it's gonna be a huge money, it's not gonna be an every year thing, but I mean, right now, like I said, they,
I like the raffle thing, the raffle, it's just sell the raffle tickets and have them go into something for the town.
I mean, it's not, I don't think it's any, like, they're doing it, they're cutting the trees anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a lot of additional work. So
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's for us to decide, I just thought I'd bring it there. I mean, other than that, I mean, they're gonna get so far ahead that they'll be,
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea.
so I mean, I don't know, do we have them work with the rec committee to set something up,
Yeah,
and who knows how many, maybe it'll only be 2 or 3 cord, or maybe it'll be 5, I don't know.
maybe we could do a raffle by cord or something like that. Have people pay so much for a ticket and
So who is the rec committee chair, Kylie?
Is it Kylie or is it Tracy?
I'm not sure. I don't think they have
I
appointed
don't know if
roles.
they've appointed roles,
right, but either one of them,
Yeah.
they could put tickets, we could sell tickets at any of the
Well, and
stores
they
that
have
are around.
a,
Just designated grocery stores people could buy.
a winter's game thing coming up.
Yeah.
Alright.
On February 18th, they have winter's game at the country club, so maybe we could raffle tickets out there.
Yeah.
Who knew how much?
Yeah,
So
something
I'll,
back
I'll,
for the
I'll,
community,
with
that'd be
Jason,
great.
I'll work with, see what he's willing to commit to.
Yeah.
And what, and have, together we'll work with the rec committee.
Perfect.
And that's all I have.
Buildings?
Not a lot throughout, but the post office, they're striding pretty fast down there, so
Nice.
they're still looking like we're still on date for the 1st of April.
And so,
They actually, really, because they took out the cells, they took down one of the doors, they're gonna be putting in a closet, but they're gonna be using some of the old wood frame that they found downstairs in the basement to redo it so it all matches the old look of the building, which is nice. So, yeah,
Water and sewer, it's been pretty quiet, actually. Jeremy's on leave right now. He just had him and his wife had a addition to the family, so I did briefly talk to him because the wood plant over near Noy Street, I guess it's Hardwood Hill Road there, they backed into the hydrant again with the loader, so.
we have to do something over there,
Yeah,
some type of barrier.
need some sort of barriers.
Yeah.
I want to talk to Jeremy about actually where that water line runs, if it's, running through the land or next to the road, and it just,
Tops up.
I think it's a necessary hydrant, because out of all the hydrants in town, that's the one that we use the most. So, other than that, that's all I have. Alan, do you have anything you want to add?
I do wanna get started updating those water and sewer things, once we're done with the budget.
Yeah.
Kylie might have a little bit more time once she gets done with all her part of that.
was the notes I gave you helpful that I sent to the select board about water and sewer policies from other towns?
I mean, some of them were, had some information that I think would be relevant to us, but some, the towns
Yeah.
are just structured so differently than us.
Yeah, I tried to see if there was anything different or similar that we might run into, but
No, thank you for getting all that, and, whenever we get some time, I think we should start working on that.
But we're done budget now, so.
Thank God.
And how do you envision proceeding with that, Alan? That, one or two of us work on it and present it in packages?
Yeah, I was thinking including Jeremy and Kylie, because a lot of it's gonna involve them, and then bringing, some type of proposal to the board, have everybody, not do it that night, give
Okay.
everybody a copy, let them take some time, look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And there are some things, I think we do need to add to it, but again, we can put it in and everybody can have a chance to
Yeah.
look at it.
Okay. Parks, playgrounds, cemeteries.
Well, I think that it's wonderful that the skating rink is being used
Yes.
and that it's been busy and there's been lots of people doing it. Mike finally got some helmets that were on a 2-year grant, right, Mike? Was it
yeah,
2
we got
years
those a
you're
little
waiting?
while. Yeah, I got them. Joey got them actually.
Yeah, 2 months
Yeah.
ago I picked them up.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
about it's been 2 months.
So we
Yeah,
got
The
some
helmet
nice
skates,
helmets,
that's nice.
skates.
I haven't heard anything about the warming shed. I think they're close, but
Yeah, that's good.
so once that's done, we can move all that over there.
Who's doing that work?
What do you mean, for who's doing the shed?
Yeah.
It's the woodshop class at the high school. So that's good, and then everything will be there. And I think we have volunteers who are willing to spend their time there,
Nice.
oversee the shed, and keep it locked up and everything.
Yeah, and like I said, the rec department met on Wednesday as far as the board, and sounds pretty exciting that we're gonna have our first formal winter games in Richford over at
Nice.
the country club. Sounds like a really fun event, so
What type of games are you projecting?
So they've got 3 different
There's
games,
a
right?
few,
Mike?
yeah.
Anything but a sled.
Yeah, it's like sledding. I think they're gonna do like some
There's
exercise,
gonna be a
like a run.
race.
Yeah, like a little
And
marathon.
hopefully we have
yeah.
enough snow, there's gonna be a race, a mile
I
downhill.
forgot what the third one was.
What was it? Anything but a sled, the race,
There's one more I can't remember.
yeah. And then they're gonna have some things set up for the kids too, inside, and they're really working right now on getting, a winery or a brewery to come in and kind of do a tasting. And then the country club is gonna have a nice small menu, for people to, have some food. And a DJ, right? Is someone DJing it?
I think
Starting
they're
at 4
working on
o'clock?
that. Yeah,
we're
they're gonna work
doing
on
a DJ.
Oh, nice, that sounds like fun.
No, cemeteries, I noticed, I think it was actually Rick that went up, we had a big tree down in the center cemetery. And I see looks like he went up there and took care of it.
Down.
I don't know who asked him to, but
What cemetery was it?
the center.
Oh, Center.
Other business.
I have none.
None. Have none. Cherry, nothing.
I'm good.
Alan? Well, next one's motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those-
Before you adjourn it, I got another question. I'm not quite clear on what you guys, over this parking thing. We have an ordinance, everything is step by step. Now you're telling me your town attorney's telling you that they don't have to follow this. Is that what you're saying?
Not at this time, they don't believe we're wrong, but we're looking into that. They're looking into that. It's not,
So why would they,
it's not final yet, Carl, that's the thing that we're trying to tell you.
so
We're
just
still-
give me an understanding, Andy, of how you guys are coming up with that conclusion, that you don't have to follow your part.
I don't know the terminology as of yet, is what I'm getting at. And that's probably the safest thing for me to say, is I don't quite understand. I know what the attorney's telling me, but I don't know the reasoning behind it, okay?
And they are continuing to do some legwork for us.
Yes.
They're doing some research.
That's fine. But every time your attorney does legwork for you, you get bad information. Last year when you guys were trying to do the meeting for the town charter change, that you can go back in your minutes and look.
Oh yeah, we
Tim
know that
Green
that was,
sat there.
but I don't think, I think that's one other instance, one instance of bad information doesn't mean all bad information is bad. And I don't think we can make a global conclusion off one instance.
It's more than one.
Well, I mean, that's the one I know of at this point.
Okay. Now, I'm even more confused than when I came into the meeting, because I thought when the ordinance was laid out, there's things you follow to enforce a law. Well, now apparently, we'll just find out how it goes.
You can't, I wish we could give you a better answer, Carl, at this point, but we're doing our due diligence and trying to get feedback.
But do you see my frustration
I
with the
understand,
board?
I
and
understand
this-
your frustration, I do, and we're trying to get some clarity on our, none of us are lawyers,
So every time an ordinance comes up, a zoning thing comes up, now it's gotta be a lawyer issue? People on the boards in
Well-
Richford can't
well,
come
Carl,
to the conclusion?
I'll say this. Well, we thank you in the sense that you have opened our eyes to definitely.
Oh yeah, I really get a good thank you where you can't talk to the town administrator anymore. That's really
Well,
nice.
okay, I'm speaking for myself. You have definitely opened our eyes to the fact that we cannot rely necessarily on what was done in the past. We're gonna have to research and,
Well,
sometimes there's an assumption
Level.
that things in the past were done a certain way, I don't know. So that's, I think, but we have to make sure from now on that we're, that everything in the past was done correctly. and everything we're doing going forward.
Well, this was brought to the board's attention over a month ago.
Right, and this is the first full meeting we've had.
Because of holidays.
In budget.
But you had a budget meeting was other than budget meeting stuff where I was told that, pretty much not to come.
Not to come.
What?
I was told that it's a budget meeting and something needed to be added. It could be, but it's just a budget meeting. And there was other stuff discussed besides the budget.
You got me.
I have the email.
Well, yeah, but I don't remember what else was discussed.
I think it was ambulance rates,
But that's all connected.
budgets.
That's ambulance rates is connected to the
You
budget.
can connect everything to everything, I guess. It's getting really hard for the taxpayers of Richford to follow the select board because everything is like different. It's like not the way it used to be. Ordinance was an ordinance in black and white. Now it's twisted every which way to fit your needs. The road maintenance policy, what is that even anyways? As if it's kind of a waste of time.
Well, I think certain things need to be, like you said, it's a
Yes.
guidance document. You know, like you said in the paperwork you gave us, it's a guidance document.
Well, I was told this is what gives you guys the authority to tow. And there's only one paragraph, one sentence in there about towing. And it's definitely far from being clear.
Right, and I understand where you can reach that conclusion.
Okay, I'll just continue my research and I'll just come back to another meeting and.
And you're more than welcome to do so.
But I don't appreciate the board telling the town administrator he can't do anything with me. And your information, Andy, of 3 hours spent with your town administrator is totally 100% wrong.
Carl, what
Michael?
we were looking to do is
Schedule his time.
get scheduled so he can structure his day and have him work on something and someone pop in and say, hey, you know, can you do this, do that? You get
I did
off-
not ask him to do anything, Andy.
This is what the board's point of view was, correct me if I'm wrong,
You're correct.
to keep him structured on what he's doing and
Set an appointment.
set up an appointment if need be,
Give a call.
if there was a meeting.
First of all, your 3 hours that I spent with the town administrator is
I was
far
just
wrong.
using the 3 hours
It
as
wasn't even an hour and
example.
3 discussions I
Okay.
had with him.
The meeting has been up for a second for adjourn. Do I hear all's in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.